Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode... I don't number these. Welcome to an episode of Andy Makes a Friend, where we're going to talk about Wool of Bat. I'm gesturing to my screen, which you can't see. This game right here. Can't see my mouse pointer either. I'm having a great day. We're going to talk about Wool of Bat, which is a game I found on Itch or Itch.io. I don't know how people usually refer to it. The other day, and it seemed really neat, and it's about a thing I like, which is witches. And even more specifically, it's about Terry Pratchett-esque witches, the best kind of witches. So, Wool of Bat, it's available on itch.io. The author is named Bethany Harvey. If you search for their name or Wool of Bat, it should pull up. You can download it for free if you'd like. It's name your own price. The suggested price is $3, and I believe this is technically not the finished form. I don't know if it's in beta or alpha, but it's episode something, yes. Soup says Itch.io. I've heard people call it Itch.io. Yeah, itch.io. The letter O is the website. And it's an alternative to DriveThruRPG for a bunch of... Well, it's not just an alternative to DriveThruRPG, because there's video games on there, too. There's card games. There's so many different things. If you've never checked it out, the interface is not my favorite. I think it's a little hard to use sometimes, but there's a lot of cool stuff on there. You can look up bundles. Probably about a year ago now, I remember I talked about and suggested picking up a racial justice bundle, and that had like a billion different games in it. I haven't even gotten through all of them yet. Lancer was one of the games that I was on there. So anyway, Wool of Bat. Let's talk about it. So, right here, inspirations: the Discworld and Tiffany Aching novels by Terry Pratchett. If you've never read them, highly recommended. The Witches now. So, if you've never read Discworld before, any of the Discworld books, again, highly recommended. But it can be daunting when some people kind of look and they say, oh, there's like 50 Discworld books. Like, where do you start? They're broken up into like mini-series, basically, and he would just write them whenever he felt like it. So there's books about the City Watch, there's books about witches, there's books about this just garbage wizard. There's books about death, like literal capital D death. There's a couple books about just kind of cultures in the in Discworld. They're called the Cultures books. There's only like 2 or 3 of them. Then the Witches and Tiffany Aching. And the Witches books are just so good. They're all so good. But the Witches books are great. And you can also start with Lords and Ladies if you want to for some reason. It's the best one, which is maybe why it's a good reason to start. And then go backwards. But they're really all very good. And then and then another inspiration is the No Dice, No Masters game system. Oh yeah, and here we go. Updates, other formats, reference sheets, and extra materials can be downloaded from bethanyharvey.itch.io/wool-of-bat. Okay. Introduction. In Wool of Bat, you play witches, not a coven. That would imply you work together and like each other. No, you're independent witches who happen to live in the same village and tolerate each other. The village may not be big enough for all of you, but for one reason or another, you're all here. And magic is unpredictable. Sometimes you get possessed by your great-grandfather's ghost, or set the forest on fire with a tiny alchemical mistake, or discover the mayor is a demon, and then, well, other witches are useful to have around. Not that you'd tell them that, of course. This is a tabletop role-playing game for 3 to 5 players, and it does not need a game master. Specifically, it's no dice, no master system, with a structure based on Avery Alder's Dream Askew. But it is not a belonging outside belonging game. Those were all nonsense words to me. Sorry, I'm just not familiar with any of those things. No self-respecting witch belongs anywhere. If they're doing it right, witches are trespassers, meddlers, and gatecrashers. They're poking into the other realms or watching the world from behind the eyes of a wild beast. Belonging drains the magic right out of you. Don't belong. Intrude. Wow. Okay. So setup. You won't need dice or cards to play this game. Just some way to record information about your character and setting. Reference sheets, which I believe was a Google form I have never mentioned before. There was nothing before the stream, and there's nothing after it. Or you can use the playbooks in this booklet. Whatever the format, the players should be able to read each other's information during play. Okay. The game setup has 4 main steps. Decide on tone and type of setting, and establish safety tools. Always important. Then you create the village, create your PCs, and choose a world playbook and create the faces for it. Okay. Tone and content. The safety tools, lines and veils, always something good to establish, even for people who you play with all the time. It's always good to, especially if you're playing a game that might touch on something you've never touched on before. You know, Dungeons and Dragons, there may not be a lot of room for, I'm trying to think. Let's say you normally play Call of Cthulhu. And you're like, well, giant spiders aren't really in Call of Cthulhu. You know, giant spiders wig me out. Then you start playing D&D. That might be something to bring up to your dungeon master. Hey, no giant spiders, please. They really freak me out. Okay. Lines and veils are the safety tool I think I kind of default to, just because it's always something that is useful to know. You know, like, don't describe any eye goop. Yeah, okay. Whatever you want. And obviously they can be ranging from, I don't want to talk about eating or something, to, you know, like, no children should be harmed while we're playing. Descriptions of. Or abusive parents or something like that. And remember, safety tools are important to have, but they aren't 100%. It's an active process. You have to keep working at it. Things will slip by, and then you just have to talk about them and work to make sure it doesn't happen again. So a combination of safety tools are always a good thing. And lines are subjects you want to avoid altogether. Veils are things that are okay, but they should happen off screen. Setting, describe your setting. You know, default setting, fantasy world with technology somewhere between realistic Renaissance and steampunk. Very Discworld. But you may not want to do that. You may want to make it a contemporary setting, or your modern witches. That'd be fun. Or it's the Stone Ages or something, or more Dark Ages. It's you know, the plague and stuff like that. I cut my finger. Okay. And then you create the village. Okay, so here's the village thing. Give it a name. Something like Turkeyfoot, South Creek, Fort Thorpe, Sand Gap, Frogsboro, Blue Front, King of Prussia. That's a town in Pennsylvania. Okay. So you pick a name. You pick 3 to 5 details. Some very evocative, cool words here. Obviously, or just make up your own. Dugan's Hole. Oh, Dugan's Hole. So your details might be dense fog, carnivorous plants, windswept rock faces, deep chasms, dust storms, mysterious shrines. And then some examples of conflicts. Tension between religious groups, always good, especially in a fantasy setting where, you know, there are obviously going to be gods at odds with gods at opposed beliefs. And inquisitions are always fun. They're horrible, but fun. Whoa. I'm using a slightly different light than my ring light stopped working for some reason, so I just noticed this. Oh no. So I had to buy a new one. I bought just something from Five Below, and notice my face was a little watched out from that angle, but I think that's also this. That's better. Okay. Yeah, you can read. An ancient debt coming due, outsiders moving in, ancient debt coming due. That's great. So many different things. Who's the ancient debt to? Dragons, fairies, a neighboring town, a lich. Okay. So you can create a village. Okay. One god snubbed another god on their holiday card list, and now their followers have started a holy war. 100%. Oops. Very Terry Pratchett. Yeah, there's one. Oh, it's pyramids, where all of the dead gods like come back to life at some point. So there's like 6 different sun gods trying to do their thing to get the sun across the sky. Like, while anyone can play a secondary character, interesting. Oh, right, because there's no game master. So I guess other players are playing NPCs. Your primary character is yours alone. You decide what they say and do. You don't necessarily decide what happens as a result, but you have some control about that using strong and weak moves. Okay. Pick a character playbook. The character playbooks are The Apprentice. So that's Tiffany Aching, for instance. The Charmer, an outgoing witch who knows how to have a good time and whose social skills are their own form of magic. Play the Charmer if you want to spend a lot of time interacting with secondary characters and stirring up or smoothing over drama. That's Nanny Ogg. The Creature, an animal transformed part of the way but not completely into human. Play the Creature if you want to be comic relief or you want to explore the pathos of a confused animal trying to fit into human society. Or if you're a furry. That's interesting. That's different. I like that. That's fun. The Crone, Granny Weatherwax. An eccentric hermit, better with animals and plants than with people. The Crone is your classic fairy tale witch, with secret power and wisdom, but probably without the eating lost children part. Play the Crone if you want to save the day while complaining that kids these days don't know Eye of Newt from Lion's Ear. Oh man, I am still getting washed out. Is this better? Hold on, let me turn it off. Is that any better? No, not really. Well, I'm not washed out. It's fine for now. Okay, that's the Medium communicates with ghosts or otherworldly beings. Play the Medium if you want to be spooky and angsty, but you could also be quietly heroic, dealing with horrors nobody else can see. That's fun. And the Researcher, the mad scientist of witches, always seeking knowledge and experimenting with forces and beings most can't comprehend. Play the Researcher if you want to cause a lot of magical trouble and have more opportunity to make up facts about your world. Interesting. I never read The Apprentice, sorry. A new witch learning magic and trying to prove themselves. Like the charmer, they're strongly connected with the ordinary world. Play an apprentice if you want to make a lot of mistakes and have to juggle magical. Oh, sorry. My wife texted me. I didn't understand it for a second. Okay. So play an apprentice if you want to make a lot of mistakes and have to juggle magical and mundane obligations. So you pick a character playbook. You answer the questions except for the relationship section. List of suggestions, but feel free to make up your own. Introduce your character to the group. Fill in the secondary character relationships if you haven't already. If it's more than one person, name at least one of them. Tell the person on your right what you want them to do. It doesn't have to be extremely detailed, but should be more specific than the lores. We'll have to look at that in a second. And ask another... Okay, so yeah, this is clearly powered by the Apocalypsean, where there are questions. So let's look at a playbook. So we're not going to go through all of these, but let's look at the... Let's look at the Charmer, because Nanny Og is my favorite of the witches. You're the rare witch who enjoys company, whether magical or not. You like people, they like you. Their lives are easier and more fun with you around. You never have to pay for a drink and take full advantage of that. What's the point of magic if you can't enjoy it a little? Lore. When you ask me for help with a social situation, gain a token. Okay. Choose a name. Good list of names there. Choose two traits that describe you. Bubbly, dramatic, obnoxious. Romantic, hedonistic, manipulative. Yep, those are all Nanny Og. How do you look? Some good things there. Why are people drawn to you? Another nice list. Sex appeal. I make them laugh. I make them care about me. They admire me. They pity me. They're curious about me. What drama are you currently involved in? Someone cheated on someone else, possibly with me. Someone's kid is infatuated with an outsider. Someone needs you to put in a good word for them. Someone is accused of a crime they insist they didn't commit. An intense rivalry over an unimportant contest. Pick two secondary characters or groups. Okay. Okay, so yeah, oh, man, I love it. My many children, my on and off lovers, my stick in the mud neighbor, my drinking buddies, my unwanted admirer. Seriously, if you've never read the Witches books by Terry Pratchett, please do. Nanny Og is just my absolute favorite character. Like, oh, like, I don't want to say in all of fiction because that feels like an exaggeration, but she's up there. I absolutely love her. Okay, so PC relationships. You ask the person on your left, what do you want me to do? And ask someone else one of the questions. One of these questions. Do you love me? Have you fallen out of love with me? Or have you never loved me? And how have I made you jealous? Or how have I made you jealous? Strong moves. Okay, good. I think you would enjoy them, CC. And yeah, there's oh boy, I don't remember how many witch books there are. And then Tiffany Aching is technically a separate series, but they're a sequel basically, because there are several overlap. Although they're also young adult novels. They're barely that. I would not consider them. They are maybe written. Yeah, they are probably written at a more a more young adult reader level, but like the content is not young adult. I mean, it is, but it's a lot. Liz says, always liked Magrat. I also like Magrat. I like all the witches. It's just Nanny Ogg's my favorite. Soup needs to read Terry Pratchett, and I need to watch Gravity Falls. And we should start a book or watch club. I would totally be down for that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. If everyone watches Mortal Kombat or Kong Skull Island, we can talk about it. Those are the two movies I've watched most recently. Okay, so these are strong moves. So we're gonna have to scroll up and read about moves in a second. Strong moves: read someone's thoughts. CC, I'll find a list for you, and it's a lot. It's intimidating. Marty had to walk me through it. So it's good to have someone on the inside. Rich Uncle Skeleton, you saw Kong. Did you see? And you saw Skull Island. Did you like it? I liked it pretty good. Again, the human characters are nothing basically, and they apparently cut out a bunch of stuff about them too. And I'm like, you could have made them more interesting. There's like one character I cared about. Yeah, Skull Island when it came out. Yeah, I'm behind. I've only seen the first Monster vs. Godzilla, so I'm gonna get caught up. So I'm 2 down. I got 2 to go because I have King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong. Okay, so strong moves. Read someone's thoughts. Create a convincing illusion. Create a convincing illusion. Calm a frightened or angry person. Talk your way out of a bad situation. Ask how can I get you to blank. Okay, interesting. And then weak moves. Create an illusion that convinces nobody. That's great. Oh man, yeah. What can you? Because you can also create a convincing illusion. So then you have to create a crappy illusion. So why would you have to create that? That's a great thought process for this character. Offend someone. Make a promise you can't keep. Oh, this is great. Cast a spell. When you're trying to use magic that isn't one of your playbook moves, tell the other players what you're doing. The spell will work, but the other players each suggest a complication. You choose one or a combination, and that happens as a result. Awesome. Okay, so let's... Okay, so we're going to do playing the game. The transition from creating to actually playing can be awkward. Approach the person you want something from. And okay, sorry. You have a world, you have a character. If there isn't an obvious scene to start with, look at the 3 ways you can earn a token. Approach the person you want something from and ask for or demand it. Use another character's lore. Or get into a situation where you can use a weak move. Okay. So here are the character rules. You always get to decide what your PC does. You don't get to decide what happens as a result unless you use one of your strong moves and spend a token. If you do, you automatically succeed. Describe what happens. Or you cast a spell. You succeed, but each other player can suggest a complication. So we just read that on the character book. Okay. So each character has moves that allow them to earn a token by inviting trouble or spend a token to make sure things go their way. Okay, so that makes sense. So strong moves were those good spells, reading minds, powerful illusions. Strong moves are powerful actions you can use to solve or get out of trouble. Using a strong move successfully requires spending a token. If you do one of those things listed without spending a token, it doesn't count as a move, and other characters can interfere. Okay, so you can try and do it when you don't have a token, but it's not going to work. If you spend a token, it works. Nothing else can stop that. And then the last strong move is a question you can ask another character or a world playbook. They must give you an honest answer. You learn this answer both in and out of character. Pardon me. There are several ways to earn the tokens for strong moves. Use another PC's lore. Use your "what do you want me to do" answer. You can ask, bargain, or demand to get them to do it. You only get a token for this once. Use your weak moves. Or if you're the apprentice, you have a special thing you can do, it looks like. Weak moves are things you can do that will cause trouble for you and your allies. Whatever you do, whenever you do one of the things, take a token. Okay. Tell the other players you're using a weak move so they can hit you with consequences. The last weak move for each playbook is a question. When you ask this question, the player playing the relevant world playbook or character will answer it. But you only learn the answer out of character. Your PC doesn't know it. Interesting. To earn a token, act as if you never learned that information. Resist metagaming, and you get a token. Okay, so instead of using cards or dice as a randomizer, you have a pool of tokens that you can use to fuel your cool moves, or you earn them by doing something that causes trouble with your weak moves, basically. Okay. Let's say your PC is walking up a step mountain trail. You ask the person playing the elements your weak question. They tell you there's about to be a landslide ahead. If your character keeps walking, ignorant of the danger, take a token. You can find a reason for your character to turn back, but you don't take a token for that. Okay. Okay. If something is out of character, it's italicized in the playbook. And all PCs can cast a spell. You're all witches. If you want to do magic that isn't your strong or weak moves, or if it is in your strong moves but you don't have a token to spend. Oh my goodness, pardon me. When you cast a spell, you will succeed, but there will be a complication. Say what you're trying to do. The other players each get a chance to suggest a complication. Okay, so we've talked about that a little bit. And a complication shouldn't negate the effect of the spell. The best complications let the spell work, but add unintended consequences. Ooh, okay. Choose a world playbook. Okay, so let's look at this now. In addition to your primary character, you'll control part of the world. Interesting. Setting up a world element is similar to creating a character. Pick a world element playbook, ideally one that you're interested in seeing, but that your own character won't spend much time interacting with. For example, if you're playing the medium, don't pick spirits, or you'll spend a lot of time talking to yourself. Makes sense. If you do find later that your PC interacts with the world playbook you chose, you can trade, but it's easier if you don't switch playbooks constantly. Okay, so pick a world element playbook. So the villagers. So, oh good, it tells you if you should avoid it if you're... I'm pointing at my screen like you all can see. I do that. Okay, so the villagers. So you're playing the villagers, but you shouldn't play the villagers if you're the charmer, because you want the other people to be interacting with you. You live in or near a community of mostly people who don't use magic. They might fear you and depend on your protection. Yeah, if you want to test your hand out at playing a lot of NPCs, the villagers are right for you. Okay. The outsiders, yeah, same thought, but they're not from town. Okay. The elements. So the physical environment. So weather, random acts with no motivation, large-scale destruction. Fascinating. Okay. The spirits, ghosts. The other world. What is the other world? It could be an alternate dimension, the Fey realm, a network of caverns where the trolls live, or something even stranger. Play the other world if witches aren't weird enough for you. Avoid if you're playing the researcher. So there's so many different things. The Underdark, the Feywild, the Elemental Plains, flora and fauna, plants and animals. Awesome. Okay, so playing the world. If you've ever wanted to try GMing, but not the GM for everything, here's your chance. Consider yourself the GM for your world playbook. Use the needs, faces, and moves, which are the next things, and we'll go down to an example playbook in a second. I might want to look at a couple different one of those. Let's see. Use the things to cause trouble when there's a lull in the game, when it just makes sense in the fiction, and especially when the characters use their weak moves. Generally, you should reserve the worst consequences for reacting to their weak moves. You can also use it to describe what's happening around them and add detail to the setting. If you need a character to carry out your world's playbook's moves, first consider if a face or an existing secondary character will work. If not, create a new one. Playing secondary characters. There will, since there's no game master, I mean, the thing is, there's nothing in here that really prevents someone from being a game master if they want to be. And it looks, I even think up here, it says, with no need for a game master. But I think you could use one if you wanted to. I think you should try it without one, as that is clearly what the author intends, and what the system creators, I'm not familiar with that system, intend. So why not try it? Why not try how they've built it? And if you don't like it, but you like the other stuff, have a game master. Just a thought. Just kind of a random thought. But again, it looks like it runs. It's very interesting how it's running without a game master. Let's see. So anyone can be NPCs. Different people can play the same secondary character at different times, or the same people can play a particular secondary character whenever they appear. So that's fun. So, if there's the mayor of the town, and the mayor of the town's probably gonna have to interact with every witch at some point, that switches. But let's say there's the blacksmith, whose name is Weaver the Smith. Maybe that's always played by Marty. Weaver the Smith by Marty was hysterical. So anytime they need to interact, Marty's always just Weaver the Smith. Or Smith the Weaver. No, it's Weaver the Smith. In my example. I don't remember what it actually is in the Terry Pratchett books. Let's see. Secondary characters have no moves or tokens, just like in D&D. Just keep in mind what they want and how they feel about PCs interacting with them. Avoid playing out scenes with only secondary characters. Let's see. If you find if you find that you like playing a secondary character more than your primary character, you can swap them out between sessions. Your old primary character becomes a secondary character available for anyone to play. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we did... That's it for the rules. Those are the rules. So then we talked about the village. We can go over some more of the playbooks if folks want. Now let's look at the world playbooks, because I'm interested in these. Okay, and they're not very big. Okay. The elements. Not everything needs to be alive to act. The elements are the physical environment around the characters, the land, air, water, and the unstoppable forces that change them. So needs. Okay, so hold on. Let's scroll back up here for a second. Hello, Garrett. Let's see. We are reading Wool of Bat, a role-playing game about a group of witches who are not a coven. They may not even like each other. It's a diceless, game masterless system. And it seems very interesting so far. Okay, so hold on, let me... Now, let's see. We need the world playbooks. Okay, here we go. Choose two needs. Okay, so these aren't necessarily the things the world element is consciously trying to do. They're what you should use to move to work towards, and pick two faces. These are the way your world elements directly interacts with the characters and the surroundings. They could be secondary characters, events caused by it, or other forms of evidence the characters can perceive. Pardon me. Why do I always put my water in the worst place? Look over the moves. These are things you can do as the world elements. Just use them whenever it makes sense, but especially when someone uses a weak move. Okay, perfect. Okay, so these are your needs. You pick two natural phenomena that can happen here. Okay, so you pick something that makes sense for weather. So, for instance, hurricanes and floods. Wildfires and extended droughts, blizzards and earthquakes. Okay. And instead of secondary characters, you're just a blizzard. Okay. And then your moves, you interfere with human plans, disrupt everyday life, cut off access, destroy structures, alter the landscape. So pretty broad, powerful things that can happen if your players use their weak moves in a way that perhaps the elements can interfere. Okay. And then flora and fauna, the other world. Yeah, I'm interested to see. Okay, so yeah, so moves, bite or sting something, grow or multiply too fast. That's fun in response to a spell of some kind. Take over a human establishment. Awesome. The other world. The important thing is that it is weird, even to witches. So needs for mortal blood. Cruel entertainment, superficial beauty. Oh my gosh. They're fairies, they're elves. To mold reality. Human servants. Wanton destruction. Now they're eldritch. Strong emotions. Yeah, pick two. The Fae. Aliens. That's fun. Angels and demons. Trolls and goblins. Mirror us. Alternate versions of us. I love that. I always love that. Moves. Hold others to nonsensical alien standards. Yeah. Treat humans as fascinating toys. Pull something into the world. Just pull something into their world or send something into the mortal world. Okay, so outsiders. a list of Dahlia Devonshire, freelance journalist. Polycarp Hindmarsh. That's a Pratchett name. Disgraced academic. Bark Calabria. Detective. Marquis St. John or St. John. Prize fighter. Awesome. So they could take something or someone away, blunder into a dangerous situation, offer a solution that the locals hate. Cool. Then the spirits. Okay, pick 2 troublesome spirits. You need to influence the world, communicate with those they left behind, revenge, a return to life. Task Force Unlikely just had to deal with some ghosts. I'm sorry, ghosts. Faces. The lost hunter who leads people astray. Oh, right, as a ghost. I thought that was an outsider for a second. I forgot. Screaming apparition at the crossroads. The victim still hunting their long-dead murderer. And then their moves. Ooh, I like these. Offer dire warning. Send cryptic messages. Possess someone. And finally, the villagers. Good needs here. They need comfort, excitement, peace, isolation, connection, harvest. And, you know, some of these are at odds with each other. And that's great. I love that for a vibrant town of people. Like, you know, like most of these kind of, some of them are opposites, but a lot of them are kind of along the same lines. But no, the villagers, no, because people are nuanced and rich, and they lead rich inner lives. And then some examples of NPCs: Lavernia Fry, horse trainer; Nola Purnell, inventor; Magda Pyle, cook. And then their moves: make impossible demands, carelessly attract dangerous forces, run out of a necessity, fear the wrong thing, cling to a harmful tradition. These are all so Pratchett, and I love them. So that's basically it. There's nothing else in the book. So, yeah, I guess if you wanted to look at the character sheet in a second, but I guess you could just print out your character sheet, and just take notes on it. Request a really long and tedious escort mission. Yep. But we'll take a brief look at, because we only looked at the charmer, really. So the apprentice, you know, names. Why do you want to be a witch? What mundane life did you leave behind? Great question. Yeah, strong moves, learn a new spell just in time. That's awesome. Outwit someone stronger than you. Use a mundane skill to solve a magical problem. These are all great. Weak moves, trust someone you shouldn't. Hurt someone while trying to show off. Try to help but make the situation worse. Yeah, these are all great. And it's, let's see. They said, oh, pick one of the PCs to be your mentor. Here we go. Ask them one of these questions. Okay. If you and your mentor are in a risky situation together, either one of you can give one of your tokens to the other. Cool. Okay, the creature. Interested in this one. Okay, so yeah, maybe you were a witch's familiar, a wild forest creature, but somehow you are now half an animal, half a person. So you're not quite an animal, you're not quite a person. You're both, and you're something new. So you can have pet names, Fluffy, Purdy, concepts, midnight, noon, flash, a sound, eek, blood of my enemies. In what ways are your behavior not quite human? I eat trash. I panic when I'm indoors. No sense of personal space. Okay. What were you before you transformed? Choose to, and then you choose two people and name them. Former owner. Very confused offspring. Yeah, I guess if you had like a kitten, and then you became a half cat, half person. What did your kid think about that? Okay. Okay. This one feels to me the most different than something I've seen before. Maybe I'm just not thinking of a good example. But like I can't think of an example of this in media. Rich Uncle Skeleton, you want to be a half cat, half person? Well, you can be. It's interesting. I'm trying to think of, I guess Beast from Beauty and the Beast, but he was more a person who became a beast man. No, it's interesting. Everything's interesting in the system. The crone, when you hear witch, you think of this. Earl the crone. A good list of names though. Octavia, Sylvie, Hazel, August, Ward, Otis. Plug her in, Otis. Why do people appreciate you? I may not be friendly, but I'm always there. They don't, at least not like they should. Why do people fear you? Okay, Liz says in Dingo Doodle's D&D character, Snips is an awakened monkey wild magic sorcerer. Yeah, well, Dimension 20 has it a little bit, but they're more just animals who have sentience. Okay, why do people fear you? I can use animals to spy on them. I look like the evil witches. I've been here longer than the oldest person in the village can remember. Okay, choose to and name them. Okay, yeah, so familiar, rival in the next village, bumbling apprentice, the person almost married. Yeah, this is so Granny Weatherwax. Absolutely love it. Okay. So strong moves, avoid violence through trickery or intimidation, make an herbal remedy, make an animal or plant do your bidding, fail a magical ability nobody knew you had. Weak moves, dismiss a good idea because it wasn't yours. Oh. Alienate someone who would have helped you. Perfect. Yeah, this is all great. Okay, and I'm not reading everything because Well, first of all, you can pick it up for free if you're interested, or for a few dollars if you'd prefer to do a tip. Garrett in chat says, I dig what I'm hearing about this so far. I feel like it could be inspiration for a Beyond the Wall playbook or setup. Totally. Yeah, if you wanted to do a thing with, I mean, in Beyond the Wall, I played a witch because I like witches, and this game is kind of hitting the nail on the head of like why I like witches, specifically Pratchett witches. So like you could totally use it in Beyond the Wall or D&D when you're trying to build kind of a very specific village, like a small village where they're not even necessarily enemies, but antagonists. Could be these 3 or 4 witches, and yeah, they're not trying to hurt you or murder you. They're just somehow in your way, and there's a bunch of flavorful, great stuff in here that you can use in this game or totally in other games. Okay, we got 2 more playbooks. So the medium. Sorry, I'm gonna take a drink of water. How do your patrons pay you? Food, cash, favors, chores, a complex barter system. Okay, I give you the bottle, and somehow I get a giant sword out of it. Thank you, Cece. How do you communicate with spirits? Through a seance. They just never shut up. Drugs, mind-altering substances, divination tools, dreams. You physically go into the spirit world, perhaps, or you send your astral spirit there. Pick 2 and name them. Spirits who do my bidding for a price. Ghost of my former lover or mentor. The villager who always asks me to contact the same spirit. The religious person, I'm sorry, nut, who insists that you're a danger to the village. Strong moves, making a good deal with a power from another plane. Oh, is there such a thing? Exercising a ghost. Simply convincing the spirit to move on. Perfect. Weak moves, deliver a cryptic message from the spirits. There we go. Agree to a bargain you should not. Be temporarily pulled into the spirit world. Okay. And finally, the researcher. You know that knowledge is the greatest magical tool. Okay. What marks have your... Take Eldritch Blast, CC. At least take Eldritch Blast. What marks have your experiments left on you? A network of fine silvery scars. Ooh. An invisible hand. Antlers. Tattooed eyes that open when I close my real eyes. Ooh. What are you interested in? I can't make you, but please. Please, for the safety of your characters, take Eldritch Blast. What are you studying this week? Bioastrology? Magic chronology. There we go. Applied thaumaturgy. Petroalchemy. Your secondary characters, students I've taught, the wizard I correspond with, the demon I accidentally let into the world. Strong moves, find, make up the information you need. Fool someone with technical jargon. You can techno-babble them. Cast an ancient spell no one else knows. Invent a new power. Weak moves: cast a spell that does the opposite of what you intended. Ignore warnings that you should heed. Give someone information they'll misinterpret. Okay. And that's it. So it's what, 36 pages? 34 pages. The basic moves are, when you have tokens, you can use strong moves. To earn tokens, you can use weak moves or talk to your other players about them. There is no game master. All of your fellow players play other aspects of the world, and you play your primary character, some secondary characters related to them, and some aspect of the world. You create a village, and you create your characters. Really neat game. It doesn't seem... It's certainly not rules heavy. I don't want to say it sounds simple, because it does. It sounds like you're going to be juggling a lot of stuff. It'd be a great improv experiment, a great role-playing experiment. So if you're interested, check out Wool of Bat by Bethany Harvey. Once again, it's on itch.io. Check it out. Feel like the tokens should be in the shape of eyeballs, like the Fates from Disney Hercules. Yeah, I have coins that are always good, metal coins. I got tokens for Henshin, but that wouldn't work. They're big, ridiculous looking Power Ranger tokens. Dice pennies. I always like those smooth kind of stone things. Pokemon used to use them for damage counters before they got cheap and just started using cardboard. I also use them for Vampire the Eternal Struggle blood tokens for the card game. So that's basically it. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say on it other than it sounds neat. I'd love to try it. As a GM, GM-less games always make me nervous because I'm used to having one person designed to drive forward the story. But I love that it is up to you and the other players to continue to drive forward the story. It seems really interesting, and I recommend checking out, especially because you can, as I said, get it for free. So that's about it. I'm probably going to wrap it up. Next time, I'll talk about one of the other games I mentioned, or perhaps finally that game I wanted to talk about will come in, so I can show it off. And yeah, so that's about it. So what's going on this week? Star Chasers are this week. Next week, we might have something on Monday. I think we're still trying to finalize that schedule. But we'll probably have something Monday. And then Task Force Unlikely will return for one of the final episodes of... Are we... there are 5 episodes left. I can't believe that. But yeah, that's it. Give us a follow if you thought this was interesting or helpful. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment. And if you enjoy, check out one of our other videos. We mostly play D&D, but we try other games from time to time as well. That's about it. I don't have much more else to say, so have a great night, everybody. I'm back. And thank you to chat. Thank you so much, chat.